Vim is a very powerful text editor, but one of the features that it lacks in power is the global search and replace feature. So we're looking at a pull request of a friend on a repo that I made. It's a Ruby gem, and what it does is it allows you to send in a S3 bucket name, and you give it your credentials, and it'll actually either make all your files private or make all your files public. This is a feature that's no longer necessary anymore because if you go into the UI on AWS, they got like one button that'll privatize or publicize all your files. So it's pretty much outdated. But a friend of mine did a pull request about 3 years ago where I spelled the word permitter with an O, which apparently is the Latin form. I don't know, but he renamed it to the word permitter. So of course he renamed it throughout the app. Now in Vim, this would be a huge pain in the butt. So let's say I wanted to, so I've got the project open on my computer. Say I wanted to replace say I did not like what my friend did and I wanted to do another pull request, change it back. So I could do Command-Shift-F to search for the word permitter. That'll give me all the results. I can hit find all, and then I can change that to permittor. And I can do find all, replace all. And then of course I can check my Git history, and it changed all those files. So you can see that all those permitters with the E became permitters with the O. So what if I wanted to do this in Vim? Because most of my work is done with Vim, and I pretty much use Atom almost entirely for the global search ability. And it was a major frustration of mine, and so I ran into some other Vim users, and one of the suggestions I got was to use this far.vim plugin. So if you haven't heard, one of the new ways to install Vim plugins, if you're an old school Vim user, you probably used Tim Pope's pathogen plugin in regards to maintaining your dependencies of Vim plugins. There's a new kit on the block called Vim Plug, and I'll show you what that looks like. In regards to installing the far.vim plugin, I can throw this plug file in the .vimrc file inside of my root folder. So I'm in my root. Let's open up my vimrc, and say I've got this far.vim plugin. I've got it commented out at the moment. I can uncomment it. I'm running into errors. And then what's cool about plug is there's actually a command called plug install, and it'll actually clone all the repos, and it'll pull all the plugins that I have. Like right now, I've got Vim JSON, Vim RSpec which is a test. It's a testing library in Ruby. Got a bunch of Vim plugins. So now we got far installed. I'm not sure if it's installed, so I'm actually just going to restart my command line. And at this point, using the far plugin, I now should be able to do the same thing that we did in Atom in Vim. So if we go to and use the far command, I can type in, if we just look at the far readme, I can type in far, what I want to find, what I want to replace, and then the types of files that I want it to replace in. So if I type the far command, I want it to change permitter to permitter with it, or I'm sorry, in my repository it's with the E, so I want to place it back to the O, and then I want it to search all Ruby files. What is it? / star.rb. And it'll give me certain amount of output. And what's really interesting about this is, let's say I've got this file permitter class. It's with a capital P. You can hit the T command, and it'll actually tell it to ignore that in regards to doing a global replace. So I'm looking at two results that have a capital P in it, which would be this one. So I'm gonna hit T on that. I'm gonna hit T on that, and once I'm done with that far command, I can hit W or WQ or whatever.
You don't have to do far do?
Right, so it didn't actually replace it until I do far do. So I don't know how it works, but I'm sure it stores that in some buffer of some kind. And so now that I've got the command, I've selected exactly what I want to replace, I can do far do, not a far buffer. Oh, maybe I have to.
Closed it.
Yeah, I closed it. So I will ignore that one and ignore that one because those are capital P's. And I can do far do. And there we go. It should have actually replaced all of those files. We can actually check the Git history. And it actually did make those changes, and it ignored the capital P ones, which is great. What's cool is that you can actually, there are tons of different options with the far.vim plugin. You can actually use a pattern, so we could actually have made this initially without where it would have ignored the capital letters in general. But the README has lots of great GIFs where it shows you just interesting things you can do with the VIM plugin. Something that I really like is I use AG, which is the Silver Searcher, in regards to doing global file searching on your computer, and it actually has support for popular global searching libraries like AG, which is the Silver Searcher, and then ripgrep. Okay. Another feature that's very useful from other text editors that doesn't come by default with Vim is fuzzy matching on your file search. So say we're in the same project, Bulwark, and I want to look for all the instances of permitter. Well, this is actually for file search, but essentially something like this in Vim would be very powerful. So I have a buddy named Jay Dorsey, and he's sort of like my Vim guru. So I'm gonna give him some credit in regards to all the Vim stuff I'm showing you today. So he's got a collection of dot files that I've stolen a lot of. This is the URL for it, github.com, jdorsey/dot files. And I've stolen a lot of stuff from his Vim RC file. So anyway, one of the things that I learned from him was there's a FZF Vim plugin. So FZF stands for, it's essentially the fuzzy finder. So it's FZ fuzzy finder. And there's a Vim plugin for and I'll add all of the instructions for installing fuzzy search and integrating it with Vim. But I'll show you what the end result is. So say I want to see all instances of the word. So I'm using ag. So there's you can actually, well, whatever. Just going to pause here. Just cut that out. So let me just show you how it works in regards to, I can type in a word and I can find a particular file that it might be in. So for example, I can just go down the bottom here and I can find the instance of permitter. This is a very powerful feature that is standard in other text editors, but you have to bolt it onto Vim. And I'm sure if you are a Vim user and you don't have something like this, you're probably foaming at the mouth right now. If you are not a Vim user, you're probably like, what? Like, really, man? This is 2019. But with the two features we've discussed today, you should pretty much not have to use the GUI text editors anymore. And with that, that pretty much finishes up our Vim tips for global search and replace.